Have you ever stopped to ask yourself who is watching your life unfold? Not just living it, not thinking it, but watching quietly, constantly, without interruption. Right now, you might feel like you're chasing clarity, trying to find peace, trying to figure things out. And maybe, just maybe, you believe that once the mind settles, once the story makes sense, then you'll finally feel free. But what if that freedom isn't waiting at the end of a story? What if it's already here, underneath the thoughts, beneath the breath, behind every rise and fall of your emotions? Because here's the truth most people never pause long enough to discover. You are not the thoughts spinning in your head. You are not the habits of your mind, the roles you've played, the name you answer to. You are not the storyline. You are the awareness behind it. And once you see this, once you truly see it, everything begins to shift. You stop chasing, you stop fixing, you stop trying to become something you already are. And in that stillness, you begin to remember, not just with your mind, but with your entire being. Today's journey isn't about changing who you are. It's about seeing who you've always been. Are you ready to remember? Let's begin. What if your entire life, as you know it, is nothing more than a stream of sensations? Not just the big moments, not just the things you remember, but every breath, every heartbeat, every flicker of warmth or chill on your skin, every sound you hear, every flicker of thought, every wave of emotion, all of it just sensations passing through, and yet you don't live as the sensations. You live inside a story about them. You say, this pain means I'm broken. You say, this silence means I'm alone. You say, this success means I'm finally enough. But where did those meanings come from? Because if you strip away the commentary, if you pause just long enough to feel, without labeling, without analyzing, what you'll find underneath every experience is something much simpler. Just a sensation, a pulse, a vibration, a flicker of awareness taking form. But the moment the mind gets involved, it begins weaving. It turns raw experience into narrative. It turns simple sensation into identity. A tightness in the chest becomes anxiety. A flutter in the stomach becomes fear. A moment of stillness becomes boredom. The mind doesn't mean to deceive you. It's not your enemy. It's just doing what it was trained to do, make sense of things, protect you, fit life into familiar shapes. It learned this from the past. From habit, from survival. It picked up leaves from your parents, from your culture, from everything you've ever seen, heard, or felt. And so now, every time a new sensation appears, the mind instantly responds. This feels like that time I was hurt. This reminds me of something I should be afraid of. This is good. Keep it. This is bad. Get rid of it. But the sensation itself, it's neutral. It has no agenda. It rises, it peaks, it fades. Like a wave in the ocean. The only thing that gives it meaning is the story you attach to it. And the stories, they change. They contradict themselves. They rewrite the past depending on how you feel in the present. Some days the memory brings comfort, other days the same memory brings grief. Why? Because it's not the memory itself that hurts. It's the lens through which you're viewing it. So the real question becomes, what if you didn't need the lens? What if just for a few moments you stop trying to explain your experience and simply let yourself feel it, not to fix it, not to judge it, not to make it mean anything at all, but just to notice, to observe the dance of sensation without getting caught in the choreography of thought. When you do this, when you pause and truly feel, you begin to see something remarkable. You are not the story. You are the awareness the story arises in. You are the space that holds it all. The thoughts, the emotions, the memories, the beliefs, they come and go like weather patterns. But you are the sky. Always here. Always vast. Always untouched by the storm. And once you see that, even for a moment, something softens inside you. You don't have to resist anymore. You don't have to manage every thought or chase every feeling. You can let life move through you. You can feel the warmth of the sun without needing to explain why it's shining. You can feel the ache in your heart without making it into a failure. You can let the moment be just a moment, because at its core, that's all life really is, a collection of moments, a stream of sensations, rising and falling in the ocean of awareness. The mind will still try to tell stories. It's what it does. But you don't have to believe every story it tells. You can smile at it, watch it, thank it, and gently return to presence, to the breath, to the body, to the now. And in that returning, you begin to remember who you are, not the thinker of thoughts, not the one who needs to fix, perform, or perfect, but the one who is simply here, aware, still, unmoved by the waves. This is not something you need to achieve. It's something you already are. And the more you rest in that truth, the more you begin to experience life not as a drama, but as a dance of light and shadow, sensation and silence, presence and perception, and you always watching, always free. You wake up in the morning and your first thought appears. Maybe it says, I'm tired. Maybe it says, I have so much to do. Maybe it says nothing at all, but still, the mind begins moving like a river that never sleeps. It's easy to believe that this river is you, that the voice narrating your life, making decisions, predicting outcomes, worrying about the future and replaying the past, that voice must be who you are, right? But what if it isn't? What if that voice is just the surface? What if the mind, as powerful and persistent as it feels, is actually just a tool, a servant, not the master? You see, the mind isn't bad, it's brilliant. It solves problems, it stores memories, it gives structure to your experience. But the moment you forget that it's just a tool, it starts to run your life. And here's the dangerous part. The mind doesn't just organize your experience, it interprets it. It looks at a neutral sensation flutter in your chest and calls it fear. It hears silence in a room and labels it rejection. It takes a missed text message and turns it into a whole story about being unloved, unseen, unwanted. Not because it's cruel, but because it's conditioned. The mind is made of impressions. Every moment you've ever lived is recorded there, every joy, every hurt, every shame. And those memories become filters. They color how you see the world. They shape how you respond to the present. So when something happens, the mind doesn't see it as it is. It sees it through the lens of what was. And that lens, it's not who you are. It's not your essence. It's not your truth. It's just a pattern. A pattern made of habit, repetition, and memory. The real you, the awareness beneath the mind, has no pattern. It doesn't need one because it doesn't judge, it doesn't organize, it simply sees. When you believe you are the mind, life becomes heavy. You feel like you have to fix every negative thought, chase every happy one, control the chaos. But when you realize you're not the mind, you start to breathe again. You start to feel the space between thoughts, and in that space, something incredible is revealed. You've never actually been the voice in your head. You've been the listener all along, the witness, the silent presence, watching the mind narrate, dramatize, predict, and rewind like a movie playing in an empty theater. And once you recognize that, the movie loses its grip, not because it disappears, but because you stop identifying with it. You can still watch the mind, you can still use it when needed, but you no longer believe everything it says. You begin to ask different questions. Instead of, why am I thinking this? You ask, who is noticing this thought? Instead of, how do I stop this feeling? You ask, what is the space that holds this feeling? And over time, those questions lead you home, not to a new belief, not to a new story, but to a quiet knowing that's been with you since the beginning. The knowing that you are not your conditioning, you are not your past, you are not your plans, you are not even the one who needs to figure it all out. You are the field in which all of this arises, the stillness before the thought, the awareness behind the mind, the truth before the story. And the moment you rest in that, truly rest, something softens inside you. You no longer feel like you have to keep up. You no longer feel like you have to be perfect or healed or certain. You can simply be, because who you are has never been broken. It's only been covered by thoughts, by labels, by noise. But underneath it all, you remain unchanging, open, limitless. This isn't a concept. It's a living reality. But you won't find it by thinking more. You'll find it in stillness. You'll find it when the mind slows down and you no longer run from the present. You'll find it when you sit quietly and feel a thought rising, and instead of grabbing it, you just watch. You'll find it when you remember that awareness has never left you, even when you forgot it was there. And the more you return to it, the more you become the witness. Again and again, the less power the mind has over you. Not because the mind has changed, but because your relationship to it has. You are not the chaos. You are the one who sees it. And in that seeing, there is peace. Close your eyes for a moment and think about the last time something didn't go your way. Maybe someone spoke sharply to you. Maybe you missed an opportunity. Maybe you simply woke up feeling off. Now ask yourself what happened next. Did your mind stay quiet? Or did it start spinning, creating meaning, forming a narrative? Maybe it said, they don't respect me. I always mess things up. I'll never get this right. It happens fast, so fast, we usually don't notice. One tiny moment, one flicker of sensation becomes a whole story. And not just any story, a personal one that reinforces your deepest fears, your oldest wounds, your quietest doubts. You don't just feel pain, you explain it. You don't just feel lonely, you label it as failure. You don't just feel tension in the body, you turn it into a problem that needs fixing. This is what the mind does. It narrates, it judges, it categorizes, it connects dots even when they don't belong together. It tries to make sense of the world by turning raw experience into something familiar, something that fits within a pattern. But here's the truth: most of the time it gets the story wrong, not because it's malicious, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it's drawing from old scripts. The mind is like a storyteller who only knows one genre drama, so everything becomes a conflict, a climax, a conclusion. Even when nothing is actually wrong, the mind fills in the gaps. It doesn't just say, this person is late. It says, they don't care about me. It doesn't just say, I made a mistake. It says, I'm not good enough. The mind, left unchecked, becomes a machine of meaning making, and most of those meanings come from the past. They come from moments when you felt unsafe, unseen, unloved. They come from childhood memories, cultural conditioning, emotional residue. So when something happens today, the mind doesn't just react to this moment. It reacts to every moment that felt the same. That's why so many of your thoughts feel heavy. That's why small things can feel so big. Because your mind is not just responding, it's remembering. But here's the shift that changes everything. You can start to see the story as a story. You can pause in the middle of a reaction and ask, what else could this mean? What's the raw sensation before the narrative? What is actually happening right now? And suddenly there's space. Space between the experience and the interpretation. Space between the event and the emotion. Space between the trigger and the spiral. In that space, you regain your power. You stop being pulled by the current of unconscious storytelling. You begin to witness it, like watching a play unfold on a stage. You don't have to jump into the script. You don't have to believe every line. You can just sit back and observe. And the moment you do, the drama softens. Because you've remembered that you are not the actor, you are the one watching the scene. You are not the voice that says, I'm not worthy. You are the presence that hears that voice and gently lets it pass. You are not the judgment that says, this always happens to me. You are the quiet awareness that sees the pattern and chooses a new response. The stories might still come, the mind might still try to pull you in, but once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. You begin to notice when the mind labels something as bad or good. You begin to notice when it reaches for certainty, when it clings to blame, when it jumps to conclusions. And each time you notice, you get to choose again. You can believe the story, or you can return to the moment. You can return to the breath, to the body, to the raw, unfiltered sensation of now. Because now has no story, it just is. And in that isness, you are free. Free from the narrative, free from the weight of the past, free from the identity you've built on top of thoughts. You don't need to fix the mind. You just need to see it clearly. You don't need to stop thinking. You just need to stop believing everything you think. And in that clarity, something beautiful happens. The mind becomes quieter, gentler, less reactive. It still moves, but now you are not caught in it. You are rooted in something deeper, something more spacious, something more real. You begin to live not from the storyline, but from the awareness that holds all stories. And that, my friend, is the beginning of true freedom. Take a breath, not a deep one, not a forced one, just a breath as you are right now. Feel it rise, feel it fall. Don't change it, don't control it, just notice. Notice the stillness between the inhale and the exhale. Notice how, even in that pause, something remains. That something is you, not the you who thinks, not the you who plans or remembers or reacts, but the you who watches it all unfold. That quiet, steady presence, that's awareness. And it's been with you from the very beginning. It doesn't have a shape, it doesn't have a name, it doesn't need to prove anything or achieve anything or become anything. It just is. And when you finally stop chasing the next thought, the next solution, the next version of yourself, you can begin to rest in it. Not as a practice, not as a technique, but as a remembering. Because awareness is not something you do. It's what you are when you stop pretending to be anything else. You've spent so long living as a character in your own story. You've worn masks, played roles, built an identity from memory and opinion. You've tried to be successful, tried to be spiritual, tried to be lovable, valuable, worthy, and maybe you've tasted moments of peace, brief, beautiful glimpses, a quiet walk in nature, a long pause between thoughts, a moment where everything fell away and something timeless opened up inside you. That wasn't an accident. That was you before the story resumed. That was what it feels like when awareness remembers itself. When the mind stops filtering, when the judgments fall silent, when the body relaxes into being, it's subtle, yes, but it's unmistakable. It's not about getting rid of thoughts. It's about not getting pulled into them. It's not about fixing your emotions. It's about letting them arise and dissolve like waves on the surface of a still lake. When you rest as awareness, you don't need to run from the noise. You simply watch it pass. Like clouds moving through the sky. They don't disturb the sky. They don't change it. They only appear within it for a while, then dissolve back into nothing. You are that sky. You are the open, unchanging space in which everything happens. The thoughts come, the feelings rise, the stories begin and end. But you, the silent witness, remain, always here, always present, always free. Even now, as you listen, awareness is here, behind the words, beneath the voice, holding every sound, every breath, every flicker of attention. And you don't need to try to be aware. You just need to stop identifying with what you're not. You're not the body, though you have one. You're not the mind, though you use it. You're not the story, though you've believed it. You are the knowing, you are the seeing. You are the light in which all things appear. And the moment you rest in that knowing, even for a few seconds, everything begins to shift. The fear doesn't grip you the same way. The noise loses its urgency. The striving starts to soften. You don't need to hold it all together anymore. You can simply be, not as a role, not as a personality, but as the still, spacious awareness you've always been. And from that place, you can live, you can speak, you can act, you can feel. But now there's clarity, there's presence, there's truth. You're no longer reacting from the old story, you're responding from the silence beneath it. And in that silence, there's peace. Not the peace that comes from escaping life, but the peace that comes from being fully here with all of it, the joy and the pain, the hope and the doubt, the movement and the stillness, all of it held in awareness, all of it arising in the space that you are. So come back right now to the breath, to the body, to the noticing. Let this moment be enough. Let this awareness be home. Because the truth is, it always was. If something inside you softened during this practice, if you felt a pause between the noise, a moment where you were not the story, not the thought, not the reaction, but the one watching it all, then stay with it. Come back to this space whenever you forget. Because forgetting is natural. But remembering, that is freedom. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to master anything. You just have to return again and again to the awareness that's already here. If this journey spoke to you, if it gave you even a single moment of stillness, I invite you to share it with someone who might need it, with a part of yourself that's been waiting to be seen. And if you'd like to keep exploring, if you'd like to go deeper into these quiet, powerful truths, you're welcome to subscribe.